That's your music. Good evening and welcome to a Meldon Law Monday on the Buddy Martin Show. I am Buddy Martin, glad to be with you. Waiting in the orange and blue room, soon to be joining us is our buddy Shane Matthews. I know he's been buried probably in free agency. I have not. I'm overwhelmed. I'm just overwhelmed, but a lot going on. A lot of it good, not so good for Kelly Ray family. We'll talk about that, but let's get on a positive note tonight and talk about this basketball team. How could you not be thrilled about that? All the way up now to a number one seed on the one line, the two line. I guess they're going to be ranked. Let's put it that way. They nailed it. What a game on Saturday. They almost gave it away, Shane, but they brought it back, and it was a huge win. And now they are going to be one of the top four seeds. What a comeback, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's they're just suffocating on defense. That's what gets the whole team going, fast breaks going, and yeah, they'll be the fourth number one seed. It looks like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
regardless of what happens in the SEC tournament, and I think that puts them in Tampa.
it does put them in Tampa. We'll have friends on later. Yeah, they will be in Tampa. And hey, good stuff happening today. The SEC reached out. Todd Golden named the SEC Coach of the Year, as he should be, and that's good news. And also some other players getting some honors. Ruben Chinyelu, unbelievable. This guy is SEC Defensive Player of the Year, second team, all conference. Thomas Hoff, first team. Alex Condren, the sixth man, and Urban Klausvar. Excuse me, I'm sorry, Alex Condren, third team, and the sixth man is Urban Klausvar. So I don't know. I don't get too excited about those things. Let's get it done on the field, on the court, and we'll talk about it, right?
Yeah, it kind of pretty much went the way you would think it would. A lot of people thought Thomas Hout may get a chance to be the Player of the Year. Went to Darius Acuff, phenomenal talent. But first team All SEC, pretty good honor.
Yeah, and I saw eyeball to eyeball. I'm sorry. I mean, Acuff's a nice player, but he's not Thomas Hout. So they're off to a good start now. Going to have a good week going to Nashville. They don't play until Friday, right? On Nashville,
Yeah,
in
play
Nashville.
the first game on Friday.
Yeah, yeah. So they get a little rest for that, and now it's going to be fun time, and everybody's excited about it, and certainly it's a good time to be a Gator fan. There's a lot of news today around the sports world. Shane, do you follow free agency very much?
I don't follow it at all.
At all. Okay. So I don't follow it much. I know guys I know up here follow it really close. Like every time there's a signing, they go crazy. I get it. I mean, it's kind of like what used to be signing day for us. But there are a couple things I'd like to read to you and like you to comment on it. One of them is former Gator Alex Anzalone is coming back to the Sunshine State, signed by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 2-year deal.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's played a long time. He's one of Will Muschamp's prize recruits. I can't remember where he's from.
He's from Pennsylvania, where my daughter
Yeah, I
lives,
knew he was up north.
up near Reading.
But
And yeah,
really good player, great college player. Was injured quite a bit, been injured a little bit in the NFL, but gosh, he's played a long time at that position.
this is the sneakiest, best free agency I've seen. And again, I don't get too involved in them, but this one got me. I mean, how much better could you be than Mike Evans has been for what 13 years? He's been
All
incredible,
of
a
them.
money guy. Sorry,
He's all
yeah, and he's
man.
also and now he's going to San Francisco. Now I know Tampa Bay didn't have the deal to sign him, but San Francisco gave him 17 million. Six-time Pro Bowl guy, got a 3-year deal with San Francisco, and he is a red zone monster, isn't he?
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know if Kyle Shanahan's ever really had a premier. He's had some good receivers, but not like one of the best or a Hall of Famer. And
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be interesting to see him dial him up with Mike Evans.
Mike Evans is just a killer down there. He's a big, tall guy on the goal line in the red zone. He can get open. He never drops the ball. Ricky Pearsall is going to going to learn some things. So that's going to be fun. And finally, well, not finally, but one more I noticed. I only noticed Travis Etienne went to the Saints, okay? Got $52 million on a 4-year deal. Wow. Returning home to his Louisiana home state.
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
Certainly is that. So there's a few highlights for you. All right, Shane, let's talk. I don't want to get a downer going here, and I want to, because it's such an up time. I love it. I just got through watching a couple of videos on Gator football practice. Sumrall continues to be a blessing. He's so much fun to watch work, so high energy, and you can see it reflected in players. I can't wait to see how it translates. But boy, oh boy, he's really, really fun to watch, and it looks like things are going well. So let's see. Cutaway family. I really liked her. I'm sorry things didn't work out for her. She's a very bright person and a real bright coach and a good person, but that wasn't enough to save her job. And you can't lose at Florida. She just couldn't get it going the right directions, and she was fired today. I'm sorry to see that, but that's the way it goes when you don't win, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, coaching is a tough business. I mean, they're paid well. It's a stressful job, but you know, it's that sports had some serious issues trying to find ways to win games over the years.
9 years since they've been to the tournament, so that's a long time. Good luck to her. I think she's a very bright woman, and I like her a lot, but that doesn't translate into W's, and that's what gets you hired, what gets you fired right there, winning those games. All right, so March Madness is upon us. We got a lot going on. Baseball team struggled this past weekend. Finally won a game. High Point, boy. It seems like to get it going. One of the things I loved about Todd Golden, he started off 5-4. Did he throw in the towels? No. And you look at his, I got a list today of his progression and where he's come from. All the time he was losing, people said, well, we'll see. He's kept climbing up the ladder, and the tempo he needed to get where he needed to get was perfect. When a coach knows his team and can believe in it, after all, he's losing games like, point here at Duke and different things, close competition. And people said there are no moral victories, but when you play the top teams in the country and you're losing on their home court by a point, that's not a moral victory. That's the indication you can compete, and they're a much better and different team now than they were before. Shane, that guard play is really looking good.
Yeah, I mean, they're talented, man. Those two guards, they're ball handling. They don't turn the ball over. They're extremely fast with the basketball. Yeah, it's they're peaking at the right time and playing as well as anybody in America.
That's a great point you just brought up there. Let's talk about it for a second. Peaking at the right time. What is the right time? It's always in March, right before March. And this is the time you want to be playing your best basketball. I think there's some more good basketball to be played by this team. How much better can they get? Todd Golden gave a little tongue lashing today about not finishing right, etc. Of course, they were up 25, whatever, and they led Kentucky back in it at the end of the game. But my gosh, if you look at the record they put up in the SEC, the last 6 games, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, we'll see how good this team is, but I think we both agree that it's Final Four time for this team, and certainly is one of the top seeds that may have that opportunity. So we'll see. Let me just stop 1 second and say I want to thank advertisers on the show. Meldon Law, they won't back down and tighten in. Also, is one of the MRI is one of our favorites. Serving North Central Florida 7 years. Appreciate your fine local business. Give us a chance to represent them for a very long time in Gator Nation. Call Freddie Weeby today, as you would for Shane's show. Freddie Weeby, 352-284-3733. Tell him to find a spot for you on the Buddy Martin Show for a good price. He can do that for sure. So All right, so I also want to mention Franz Beard's book. It's still for sale out there. It's going to be a collector's item. If you'd like one, you need to check on it now. There's some available signed. You can go to spurs.com/shop and get an autographed copy delivered to you. And you'll be glad you got it because it is a collector's item for sure. And finally, events coming up on March 30. Shane, I don't know where you're going to be, but they got a couple of really good things going on at Spurs Grand Grill. 3 Heisman, 2 events, one legendary day, March 30, 2026. Join Steve Spurrier, Danny Werfel, Tim Tebow for the Legends Gala on Spurs Grand Grill Monday, March 30th. More on that later. Shane, do you ever worry about the environment of college sports? You read stories like this, you think, is this what's coming? Because I had predicted this, not predicted it, I commented, I think this is coming. When you get money around and there's a smell to it, and you got people who want to find ways to win it, you run the risk of getting some bad stuff going on. Today, it was announced that Jalen Smith, one of the men alleged to have helped perpetrate a sprawling college basketball point shaving scheme, pled guilty in federal court to charges stemming from a Department of Justice indictment that unspooled the gambling ring. Smith was one of the men who helped recruit college basketball players into the scheme, delivered money to them, according to federal prosecutors, identified as a fixture. That's an ugly name, fixture. Changed the charge in January alongside 25 others, including 20 college basketball players and former NBA and LSU star Antonio Blakeney. So does it worry you that there's so much money out there that sometimes you wonder if a guy would, intentionally miss a shot or not play well or hold the score down? Would you be a little worried about that?
Well, I'm not familiar with what you just talked about.
It just happened today.
But it's happened in the past, so it's not like it's just happening now.
Right.
It's happened multiple times over the years in different sports. It's a shame. I mean, but yeah, there's a lot of money out there. I thought you were getting ready to talk about something about NIL or whatever, because I've been against it from day one. Nothing will ever change my mind. Because it's not what it's supposed to be. But look, there's crazy things that happen, not just in the sports world, but everywhere on a daily basis.
Well, you have to love what Urban Meyer said at the big so-called round table. It's not a round table up in Washington. They had the fat cats there. A lot of the people, only a few football people. Urban was one, and they had Nick Saban, etc. And Urban came out flatly and said, basically, NIL is evil. It's just not a good thing. And he said collectives, were evil, not NIL. Players ought to get money, but having the collectives to raise the money is cheating, he said. And they need to get rid of the collectives. Could that ever happen?
I think it could happen. I don't know if it will. I agree with it, though, because, I know the revenue sharing, that's where they should get their money from. Because I think everybody's supposed to have the same amount. But yeah, the collectives, man, we could talk about this for hours, but
let's just spend a couple of minutes on it because it's an important thing.
Well, name, image, and likeness when it all started was a great idea, but I don't know if anybody's made any money off their name, image, or likeness like it's supposed to be. It's just flat out. How much does it cost? Is it going to cost us to get you to come to our school? And it's just, it's absolutely ridiculous to me, the amount of money they give to these kids coming out of high school. I would love, and you'll never find this out because nobody has the exact amount kids are being paid, or they won't come out with it publicly. I would be curious at how much money has been just blown on these so-called superstars coming out of high school that just don't pan out and don't play for your college. It would be very interesting to me.
Yeah, it would be interesting, wouldn't it? It sure would. Yeah, it's I don't know. Like I heard today, someone said, You can't solve the problems with a bunch of big people in a big room. It has to be grassroots, and this whole thing has gotten so out of whack. It's hard to even understand what's going on. But there's so much. Now, Shane, let me ask you straight up. What did you hear about money when you were around Florida and you were playing football?
I never heard about any of it.
That's funny because I had a guy tell me, and you know him, that he was with a Florida coach recruiting, and it wasn't anybody like Steve Spurrier. It was after that another guy whose name I won't mention. He swears, this guy you know and I know, that he said on the phone, $20,000 is too much for a cornerback. We can't pay that. Okay. Now we know money's out there. A lot of people got it. I don't know who all did. I haven't got the evidence, and really Jimbo Fisher said it right. Some people would say we had NIL a long time ago. I might just be stupid. I didn't really hear anything about money. I didn't see it. I didn't know what it was. And, perhaps, others have. I just wanted to ask you straight up, had you ever, seen or heard about money?
Oh, I've heard about it from different eras, but I've never heard about it while I was playing.
Okay, no, okay, that's what I mean.
But before me,
right.
Yes, I'd heard about it. I heard about it. Different schools. I mean, look, players were paid at some point.
Yeah,
under the table. I mean, we all know that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I want to go back to a good thing, that win in Kentucky. Let's bring on a guy who knows a little about basketball. He's excited about the fact that Florida is a 1 seed. Who would have thunk it, Graham Hall, all the way back to a 1 seed? What a performance by Todd Golden's team.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was saying to people recently that you could make a case that in the regular season this year compared to last year, I know that they won a national championship, obviously, so take that out of the equation, but you could make a case that this is a better coaching job in the regular season for Todd Golden than last year. I mean, having to replace 4 guys from his backcourt a year ago, bringing in new guys, one from the Ivy League who had to adjust. Boogie Fland had played less than 1 season of college basketball. I mean, he pretty much was, a freshman turning 18 years old, going on 19. To have them gel and then adjust the offense. And this is probably the thing that is the most under the radar maybe about Todd Golden's team this year is that, some coaches, when they win a championship, they've done it. They can be a little more hands off, take on that CEO type role. Todd has actually increased his in-game responsibilities compared to a year ago. I mean, he draws up out of bounds plays. He's the one with the clipboard, the whiteboard in his hand when Florida's trying to inbound the ball. He deserves a little bit more credit than he maybe even did a year ago. And that's not taking anything away from the players or his assistants, but he is doing more this year and had to adjust middle of the season. I mean, for them to have won 11 straight and the way they've done it, 7 of these past 11 games have come by 19 points or more. It's just been a really, really impressive job by him. And to think it could have been anyone but him who would earn the SEC Coach of the Year award, kind of ludicrous in my mind. Yeah. Like, I get the criteria for guys who did well, and the circumstances for Bucky McMillan are impressive. He didn't have a full portal cycle, took over a team that was kind of, in shambles a little bit the way Buzz Williams left. But to give it to anyone but Todd Golden would have just been ludicrous in my mind.
Heresy, yeah, I agree with that. I want to get opinions from both you guys here. I know Shane's got to go in a second, but I wrote a column the other night. It's probably knee-jerk a little bit from a fan standpoint. And I know a lot of people have felt this way because I read the message boards and people texted me that Florida in this really what could have been a beatdown. By the way, they improved to 44 and 111 all time against Kentucky, 13-56 in Rupp Arena, and 3-4 Todd Golden. So they had quite the time there, and obviously they blew a lead, but they hung on and got it done. And the thing about it was they're in the second half, when Florida was just crushing Kentucky. I mean, crushing Kentucky. And it was a highlight film for everything Florida was doing. The comments, it was Dick Vitale, it was Jimmy Dykes, and it was, who am I forgetting? Jimmy Dykes, Dick Vitale, and Carl Ravitch. And out of the blue, I believe it was Dykes who said, now you wonder what's happening. You see that maybe there might be a change in Kansas. And if Bill Self steps down, we're hearing rumors that Todd Golden is in their sights. Way to rain on a parade, for crying out loud. The body's still not even, still warm. And they're talking about job offers. Of course we know that. Now, I understand as a reporter and whatever, you got to say those things. But it seemed like just sort of bad timing and bad taste. And of all people to come to the rescue for the Gator fans, it was a guy that everybody calls Blabbermouth who goes on for Dick Vitale, who says, basically, I haven't heard that and he ain't buying into it. So now I know this is homerism and all that, but I don't know. It seemed to me like not a kind of tacky thing. Shane, did you hear that?
Well, I mean, there's going to be rumors. I mean, there were rumors last year about Todd. Look, Todd's one of the top four or five coaches in America. I think he's brilliant offensively. I've said multiple times I've never seen a basketball team get more easy looks inside the paint with layups and lobs and just their sets they run. Yeah, I mean, if Bill Self retires or whatever, and if North Carolina opens up, if Kentucky opens up, Todd's going to be on their message boards. But I say it on my show about every day. It seems like in the last 25 years, the three best basketball programs in America are Florida, UConn, and Duke. That's a fact. And I don't think Todd's going anywhere.
Well, but I'm just saying, it's like watching, the star football player have a great game and say, well, now he'll be available in NIL. Maybe he'll get a job. So, I mean, I know this is what I want. I'm being a little homerish here. Graham, give me your thoughts.
Well, I understand speculating, certainly. But I think it's more fair to speculate when a job is open. I mean, Bill Self is still coaching a team that's top 20 in the net. He hasn't retired. Maybe there's rumblings behind the scenes. I don't know. But to talk about it's also disrespectful, in my opinion, to Bill Self. I get the homerism, like you said, and Florida fans rightfully should hop on social media and say, Kansas isn't a better job than Florida. We just won a national championship. Why would he leave for a team that, won it, in 2006 or whatever it was? 2005, whenever that team was that they had there. I get that. But Bill Self, again, hasn't retired. To speculate about a job that's not even open is just wasting airspace, in my opinion. And maybe it looks prophetic in a couple months. If that happens, then you can say, oh, well, we talked about this in the first week of March and it came true. But otherwise, to be talking about it in the middle of a game between Florida and Kentucky is just kind of a disservice in my mind. And that's no offense to the broadcasters out there, but Florida fans want to hear about Florida's dominance and beating Kentucky, because I don't care how good you are or how bad Kentucky is, and they're not bad. But anytime either one of those teams gets a win over the other one and does it in pretty comfortable fashion, I know the game got close there down the stretch, just focus on the game for 40 minutes, not about someone's future.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think you're right. And by the way, you know how much money Bill Self makes?
Probably what, 12 million, 10 million?
According to the list that somebody put on the list, there's the 5 top guys there, and this could be wrong. It's off the internet. He makes $8.8 million. Calipari is at $8 million. Danny Hurley's at $7.7 million. Todd Golden is what, $6.7 million?
Something like that.
And he's making more than Tom Izzo is 6.2. So I don't know. Those are the numbers you read. So I'm gonna let Shane go. He's got to do some. Any final thoughts? And who's on your show tomorrow, Shane?
You're on it, buddy.
Oh my goodness gracious! I gotta get my beauty rest.
That's right.
Get my coffee going in the morning. You're up so early. I keep you up late and then you get me up early.
Buddy, my show starts at 8 o'clock. That ain't early.
It's 7 o'clock out
That still
here.
ain't early.
Don't forget. Oh, okay. Okay.
Right.
Well, it's not late here either, but I'm going to say good night to you anyway.
All right. Y'all have a good night.
Thank you, Shane. Just in time to welcome Franz Beard to the program. And Francis joins us. Graham, a good man to talk about what happened in Kentucky. And let me just plug his book, by the way. Say the book is out there. If you didn't get one, Graham, make sure.
I got one. I got one. I've started it. I'm going to read it more during the off season, though. I don't have much time to read this time of year. It's so bad. I hate it.
I know. And you always have
I'm ready.
4 or 5 books. You have them on your dresser and say, I'm going to get to this. And I'll read a couple chapters and put it down. The next time I'll take the other book and I'll rotate them and all that. But it's a really good book. And as we go forward, your grandchildren, other than reading your stories, will have a place to go and look and see what was that like when they won the championship in 2025. Huh? Yeah. Pretty neat. Collector's item.
100%.
Say good evening to the man with the hat on.
My guy, what's up?
Hey, Graham.
How you feeling?
Getting better. My taste buds have not returned to normal. Everything tastes metallic. Whether it's
that'd be the hard part for me. Weight loss diet, though, right?
Well, yeah, I guess so. But it's hard to drink a bottle of water and it tastes like metal. Then you drink coffee and it tastes like metal. Oh gosh, that's the hard part about it. The other part, I'm getting over it. I'm getting better. It takes a while to get over this stuff. It doesn't happen here or easy. You going up to Nashville, I presume?
I am. I'm heading up there Thursday morning, flying out of Orlando. My wife and I are going, staying with a couple friends, coming back Monday. Looking forward to it. We don't know if Florida will play on Sunday, but we're going to be up there for the whole tournament regardless. Any chance to see all the games in the SEC, regardless of who's playing, it's a great time. I'm looking forward to it. Probably not going to be the only time we're traveling here in the next month, though.
Well, one of the cool things about it with the SEC tournament is you catch guys like Sankey wandering around, and he's very, very approachable. And it's a really great time to catch up on things that maybe you've been thinking about or wondering about, or you want to connect dots, etc., like that. It's a great time to talk to the most powerful man in college sports.
Yeah, we'll see how long he's the SEC commissioner. You see everyone floating him to be the college football commissioner. I think he's a really, really impressive person. Hopefully we get a little free time with him, and I'm planning on being in the arena for 12 hours a day, Friday and Saturday.
It's a fun time. My greatest memory of the SEC tournaments is 2009. I believe it was 2008, excuse me, when the bolt that was about this big around came flying by my head, missed me by about that much when the tornado hit the Coliseum, the old Georgia Dome.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen. Yeah. I hope you're not knocking
out. We're playing in a place with a concrete roof.
That's not. Yeah. Friends, you be careful. All right, let me just get into a couple of things here while I got you both together. Let's go back and look at it. He at least got the SEC Coach of the Year. I think you said earlier, somebody did, it would be criminal if he didn't get that. But the news today was that some good awards came across. Ruben Chimmerly did get the Defensive Player of the Year.
And Scholar Athlete of the Year.
Yeah, and the Sixth Man Award went to Clavzar, right? And I'm missing somebody. Condon didn't get a lot of love. He was the third team. He's a better – what he's been playing lately. I mean, he didn't have the best numbers the other night, but, boy, he played – what a streak he had where he had 26 a couple of weeks ago. Career highs every week. And you talk about improvement. I don't think anybody, Graham, has improved more than that kid.
Yeah, I mean – I know he has his, he's not a perfect player. I mean, the kid is a kid. He's still got a lot of work to do. I'm not trying to demean him in any way because he's an adult, but he hasn't been playing the game for a long time, and how good he already is so impressive. And the way that Florida plays through him at a high rate, I don't think there's 5 power forwards in the country who touch the ball in a game as much as he does. I mean, he is critical to their offense. Guys are surprised when he's not getting, 6, 8 assists a game because he is such a great passer most of the time. And unfortunately, and I'm not saying, the media is sometimes guilty of this, but there's a lot of other people out there. The turnovers seem to get more of the recognition than how good of a facilitator he is in the half court.
Or a missed three, the missed threes.
Yeah, and the missed threes are everyone goes cold once in a while. He's going to continue shooting. He's 6'11". 3 decades ago, guys weren't expected at 6'11" to be able to stretch the floor and knock down threes, but that's what's required for guys who want to play in the NBA at a high level and for a long time now. They have to be able to stretch the floor and be a threat, not just be a guy who can make them consistently, but be a threat to score, to open up and for spacing offensively. And he's going to continue improving in that regard. He is a much better shooter than we've seen in games. But defensively is where I just want to talk about him defensively. He's a way better defender than his numbers indicate. And for him to, I don't know what the considerations are, or when I don't know what the votes are. And, I put a lot of stock in the SEC awards because it's decided by the coaches, by the real professionals, not just, guys like us sitting behind a computer watching the games, the guys actually coaching. Right. I don't know how the rest of the coaches view Alex Condon in the SEC as a defender, but if I had to guess,
say again.
He's guessing.
I think we lost.
He's guessing.
No, he's actually.
He's frozen up. He's frozen up.
Frozen up.
We caught him in mid guess.
Yeah, we did. So we'll come back on.
Let me say this about it.
You go ahead.
There are not 5 players in the Southeastern Conference who are better than Alex Condon, and he made the 3rd team. So that means that they think that there's at least 5 players better than him. Let's see. I'm. Let me see where they have him on their. All
right.
Let's see. They've got Alex as the on the 3rd team. They've got him as the 2nd guy listed on the 3rd team, which tells me, and they listed them all alphabetically, so we don't know how they voted. But let me put it this way, buddy. He at the very, very worst, he should have been like the 1st guy on the 2nd team.
I agree. I think I got a little. She was like, 13. Come on.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember something. It's the SEC coaches who somehow or another couldn't put Jake Slaughter 1st, 2nd, or 3rd team.
Yeah.
They're the ones who last year couldn't. 2 of them couldn't seem to find it in their hearts to vote for Walter Clayton Jr., only the best player in the country. They couldn't vote him on the 1st team. He was not a unanimous choice on the 1st team. You had coaches who voted Mark Sears of Alabama better than Walt. Walt put Mark Sears in his hip pocket. I'm sorry. Mark Sears is a good ball player. Don't get me wrong. But
he is a good ball player, but not better than the other guys.
There's a difference between good and exceptional. And there, and the gap got bigger as the season wore on and we got into the tournaments. The gap between the 2 of them got bigger because Walter Clayton Jr. proved that he was the best player in the country on that 9-game stretch. Where would we go after Tampa? If we're in the South, we'll go to Houston. If they put us in the East, we'll go to, which they're not going to do. That's the Duke Invitational every year.
Mm-hmm.
That would mean going to Washington D.C. If they put us in the West, then we'd go to San Jose, California. Yeah. So, and we're gonna be in the South, buddy. We're gonna be in the South, and we'll open up. Yeah. We'll open up in Tampa, which is a good thing because 2 home games basically, get you to that second weekend in Houston. The question is going to be: are they going to put Florida there, and then all of a sudden you got Houston going? They used to have a rule that said you could not be in the same region that you are hosting, and now Florida is not hosting. That Tampa regional is being hosted by the University of South Florida, so Florida would not be hosting that regional. But we caught you in mid-guess.
I know. Sorry about that. My internet decided to.
It happens.
Can't trust them. But anyway.
Well, now that I've got you back,
doesn't get enough credit.
Yeah.
Todd Golden said last week that he knew this was coming, that the play of Thomas Houck and Ruben Chiniolu, and even Boogie Flan's a great defender too. He should have gotten more consideration for some defensive recognition. Obviously, only 5 spots and a ton of guys in the SEC, so you can't give them to everyone. But Todd said that he knew that the play of Alex and Ruben and Tommy would kind of cannibalize each other. He used the term cannibalize, that he knew that they would their play would be a knock against someone else on their roster. And I think that Alex Condon not being on the defensive team kind of epitomizes that.
Do you know what's interesting to me is knowing how Todd's always looking for an angle to motivate somebody. And don't you know he's going to take Boogie Flan and Xavier Lee. He's going to tell them, look, they don't even think you guys are among the 15 best players in the Southeastern Conference. I mean, he stuck that needle in Walt last year. All SEC tournament all the way through 9 straight games. Hey, you got to remember something. Those coaches didn't even think you were. 2 of those coaches didn't even think you were first team All SEC, and that just grated at him. So that's one of the things I love about Todd Golden is that he looks for every angle that he can find to motivate his guys, and he's really good at it.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk for a second about football, although I know basketball is a hot topic right now. I just want to have a couple of questions people have asking me. I just got through watching a workout. I've got a chance to watch a lot of video, and the accessibility of the media has really helped a lot. You can't, and Franz, we had him on our show last week. Yeah. I know it's easy to get in there and get enamored with a new coach, but there's something special about this guy that I think touches us in a different way. I don't feel like it's Billy Napier we're talking to anymore. It feels like he has energized the program. Everybody you talk to, I saw him on David Pollock's show today, talking about how important to rivalries, how kids got to be educated about what rivalries mean. A lot of them come there and don't know. It's their job to, and I agree with that. You've got to preserve those things. I know it's just March, this basketball, March Madness. But at the same time, we're given this opportunity, and we'll be able to see him play on April 11th. And he says it is going to be a game. It's not going to be one of these little walkthroughs. And so we'll see. But it feels like and looks to me like there's something going on there in this program that I like a lot. Franz, I'll let you go first because you talked to him last week. I want to get Graham's talk, although now we've lost Franz. Graham, you go ahead.
Hey, I appreciate a head coach, no matter what sport it is, who sees the media as a resource. Because too many people out there in this day and age think that the media is a little bit of a nuisance, that it's a waste of time. And I know these coaches are busy. They're busier than they've ever been with the calendar and the schedules. And I'm really grateful of anyone who takes time out of their day, players, coaches, whoever it is, to speak to the media. But it is a mutually beneficial relationship. It's not just the media that is getting quotes and getting information to write stories. Obviously, we benefit from that as well. We get to tell players stories. That's why I got into the business, because I want to tell people stories. But for head coaches, especially first-year head coaches at a new program, it is an absolute resource because you can quickly make an appeal and garner respect and acclaim from your new fan base who they want you to be successful. Before you've ever coached a game, they want to fall in love with you. And John Sumrall seems to get that. He understands that he can appeal to fans. He can give them something refreshing that they feel like they've been missing, and he can be transparent and re-energize a program and a fan base that so desperately wants to feel the energy again, where they were apathetic for a long time. And so John Sumrall, he's only been on campus for 4 months, but he seems to understand that. I mean, he's going on every show that asks him to do. He's spending time talking with the media. He's given us more practice availability. You know, we're getting 3 times as much viewing in one practice session as we got under the previous regime. He understands the benefit. Now, how long that will last, if that's going to be a forever thing during his time in Gainesville, remains to be seen, obviously, and we can change our tune. But right now, he seems to understand that this is the time to make people fall in love with you, because there are going to be times when they're disappointed with you when you lose the game, and there's going to be times when they love you when you win a game. This is the time where you can't lose if you're a head coach, and it's in your best interest to capitalize on it, and he gets that.
Do you know, I've made this statement at least a couple of times, Graham, and let me run it by you. I believe that if Billy Napier had been more engaging with the fan base, let us get to know, for example, his family, his wife, his kids, everything like that, give us a chance to get the warm and fuzzies about him, the fan base, I think, would have been far more likely to give him a mulligan. We didn't know him. And it's easy to dislike somebody you don't know.
I agree.
Well, he didn't want us to know him. That was the whole idea. You know, he really was shielding his identity, and I couldn't figure it out for a long time. And I don't take it personal. I mean, look, he didn't have to. I never asked him to interview with me, but it was pretty clear that he didn't think it was important enough. That's fine. I'm not that important to the program. But I don't know. When was it? I ask you guys, when did you realize it wasn't going to click for Napier, both as a coach and a guy who dealing with the media? Graham, when did you notice it?
That's a tough question, because I had my reservations from the jump, and you can ask some other media members about it that I wasn't sold, because I thought Dan Mullen was going to be so successful, and I believed in Jim McElwain. I thought he was going to be great coming from the Nick Saban tree. And the third head coach that I covered, I wanted to be a little bit more cautious. And so I had my reservations from the jump, and my mind never really changed. Now, I had respect for Billy Napier as a person. I still do. I have a ton of respect for him as a person. I understand why he would maybe not want to be as engaging or keep people at arm's length, because I don't blame someone who wants to protect their family from a rabid fan base at times, let's be quite honest, and wants to maybe keep part of their life private. It's their private life, and that's totally up to them to do. You know, Mike White was very similar. And, you know, there are a lot of coaches out there who want to keep that private, and I respect that. When I thought it wouldn't work out at Florida anymore was around a lot of other people, 2 games in to the 2024 season. I kind of thought that this is trending towards a conclusion, that this thing is going to be over, whether it's in a couple months or whether it's in 18 months. And then that was only reinforced by not hiring an offensive coordinator. I obviously think that was his main real undoing. I think that he did a lot of things really well, evaluating, hiring a lot of good people. The Gator Made program was great. He was dealt a tough schedule, and he didn't have the offensive system set up that was going to allow him to be successful at the rate that's required to get a 5th year. And then this is a whole other subject, whether he even deserved to get a 4th year or not. But
yeah.
I don't know if they land John Sumrall. Maybe they land Lane Kiffin, but I don't know if they land John Sumrall if they part ways with Billy Napier after. And let me just say this real quick. Sometimes patience is a good thing, because I tell people all the time, all the people who wanted Mike White fired for a long time, they may have been right that Florida should have moved on from Mike White and they should have parted ways. They could have been right, or probably right, that it should have been done sooner. But if they think that they're landing Todd Golden if they part ways with Mike White a year or two earlier. I don't believe that.
Yeah, right.
Mike White would be the first to tell you that, one, Florida took a risk on him when it did. He never won an NCAA tournament game, and he's grateful to this day to the Florida athletic program for taking a chance on him, because it's obviously paid off. But I don't think they take that chance on him 2 years or even a year earlier than they did. So Florida parted ways with Mike White, with him going to Georgia at exactly the right time that enabled Florida to land the coach that won them the national championship.
It's really strange because things happen that are strange. Friends, you remember whenever the issue came up about Todd's legal problem, we talked about that at the time. He had 1 year here, and it looked like he was in deep doo-doo, because those things are like, you can get strangled by them. We saw other coaches, just before you jump in here, I want to say, and I said to you, it's a funny thing. If he survives this, it may be the best thing the team ever had. And maybe one day it will lead to bigger things. And I've cited Bill McCartney and different people when things happen bad. You think it's the end, and it really is the beginning. And not that I'm a prophet, but that's exactly what happened. We know the story of how he got set up and how it was dealt with, whatever. Couldn't really talk about it. But I think what we saw was remarkable, and I don't want to lose sight of that, to see a guy come in here and not only turn the program around, but dominate. Do you realize they could very well have 2 natties in the house here in about 5 weeks? And that's just crazy, especially when you start 5-4, Graham, and you think that's a great lesson for everybody, including Kevin O'Sullivan right now. Don't throw in the towel when you have a bad start. Keep on plugging. And I've got in front of me the entire week by week of how it went for Florida each week as they climb back out of the hole. And if ever a team is an example of that, Franz, it would be these Gators.
Well, let me address a couple things. First off, you mentioned the one thing that gets overlooked is Micah handlocked and fracturing his leg before they played Auburn. And that was Todd's second year. I do believe that a healthy Micah, they beat Auburn that day. And I think that they are at least a Sweet 16 team in the NCAA if that happens. Could have been different. Next thing, it's funny that you should mention the legal troubles that happened, because I was talking with someone today and who knows more about this than the three of us combined. And the thing he told me was this. He said he knew it was over the moment he hired Ken Turkle. He said, because Ken Turkle Ken Turkle goes for the throat, doesn't take a case that he's going to lose, and just ask the Hulk Hogan estate, which came up with $140 million out of that case with Gawker. But he told me, he says, I knew Todd. He says, first off, he says, I didn't doubt Todd, but he said when he hired Ken Turkle, I knew they didn't have anything on him.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is if they'd had anything on him, they would have produced the evidence, period. It would have been a wrong.
Well, there's the legal parts I don't quite understand. I'll take your word for that, and I guess that's true. But in the remaining minutes, I'd like for both of you to identify about this basketball team the thing you see that others don't appreciate as much as you. I'll start. You know me, I've been a huge Tommy Hopp fan since the beginning of the time. I think people see that. But the way Condon takes the ball reminds me of Joakim Noah. He gets a block, leads a point, and plays the point, and he passes beautifully. And what can we say about Ruben Chimula? I mean, my goodness gracious. Now he's got a touch around the rim. So there's so many little things about this program. You could focus on Klausar's shooting. You could talk about Brown. Now Ingram's starting to come on. I mean, what do you see in 2 minutes, Graham, that you think others might be missing?
Yeah, I don't think this team gets enough credit for this is the best defensive team that Todd Golden has coached in Gainesville. And we harp so much on the shooting, and rightfully so, and the turnovers, but little things like that we kind of miss the fact that as a collective, as an 8-man rotation, this is the deepest defensive team as a collective that he has had. And when people ask me, what makes you think they could make another deep run in March? It's not that I think that they're going to knock down, 8 to 10 threes every single game the rest of the way, or that they're going to get double performances. I think that they have the ability to defend and hang with anyone better than they did last year. And Elijah Martin was a great defender. Will Richard was fantastic at calling out switches. And this team is not perfect, but defensively, they don't get enough credit. The reason, in my opinion, they're a national championship contender is their defense. And that's what makes Todd Golden's coaching job so good this year. Because like what you said, he's a brilliant offensive mind, but he has improved, and his coaching staff has improved as a defensive coach tremendously the past 2 years ago. And that's why I think that they're going to be really, really dangerous in March. I'm not saying they're going to go all the way and go back to back, because predicting that is going to set yourself up for disappointment. Only one team can do it. But I think that they have a better chance as a collective than they did a year ago, which seems crazy to say considering they cut down the nets last year.
Well said. Franz, what do you think you see others don't?
The speed in which they take the ball off the backboard and get it up the court, and get how many dunks and layups they get each game before the other team has a chance to set its defense.
That is amazing. That's amazing.
I almost think that Florida goes into a game ahead 12-0, because I think they're going to have at least.
Well, they just did. 11-0 against Kentucky.
I think that it's almost like that, because I think they're going to get at least 6 breakaways in which they're up the court faster than the other team. They're going to either get an easy layup or a dunk on that. And the other thing I think that people overlook is this: you cannot press this team. Period. You cannot, because they've got the 2 best release guys in the world. Boogie gets it in, and if it goes to Tommy or if it goes to Alex, it's over. You're not going to get it, because he's going to get the ball back to Boogie or Xavier Lee, and you're not going to take the ball away from those guys. Xavier Lee has where he is now compared to where he was Duke, let's just say. I mean, the ball is a yo-yo in his hand, and I love watching him with the ball maneuvering in traffic. Boogie is just a streak, but Xavier Lee, my sister calls him the water bug, because he's like that on top of the water. But they're part of that when we talk about the transition, getting up the court fast. I don't think there's 2 guards in the country that can beat Florida's guards up the court with speed.
Lee, with that coming across with that left hand, is a demon. I'm telling you what. He just gets it and he dunks it. He comes across the bigs and takes it in with the left hand and dunks the ball. It's amazing. This is a guy I didn't think was going to be making it a couple of months ago. I had my doubts. 1 minute apiece. Is this team as fun, Graham, as you've ever covered in terms of basketball?
I got to go last year's team. I mean,
more.
Yeah, they're close. Last year's team on the fun scale, in terms of like they were never out of a game. I mean, they fooled me 4 times in the NCAA tournament where I was sitting there on press row with 6 minutes left in the game, and I was like, man, the season's going to end. I got to write my Florida season comes to a close gamer, and then they just completely pulled it out.
It wouldn't let you.
I mean, that is fun. Games are awesome when you don't know when they're going. That's why people love buzzer beaters. That's why they love fourth quarter comebacks. And last year's team, that run, they were never out of a game as long as they had Walter Clayton and Will Richard and Elijah Martin and Alex Connon, Thomas Houck, Ruben Chinyelu, Micah Hanlongton. They were never out of a game with those guys because they were going to compete for 40 minutes. And that made them really, really fun to cover where, they pulled it out in a very, very fun and quite miraculous at times, fashion. The way they mounted those 4 comebacks in the tournament was incredible to watch. This team is extremely fun as well, a little bit more methodical in some ways. But I got to go last year's team. Now, they could change my mind in 5 weeks.
Yeah, let's see. If Coach Spurrier says it's fun to win 1 minute, Franz, give me your thoughts. This team is fun as you've covered? I know you got Joe Kim and a bunch.
I was standing 10 feet away when Joe Kim Noah danced with and had Vern Lundquist. I thought about to pee his pants. He was laughing so hard, and and I was in the locker room afterward when Torian Green keeps leaning over and saying, "Joe, you can't dance," and Joe, "I can too." He said, "No, you can't, Joe. You're a terrible dancer." And the interaction between those two, that was in Atlanta, and then 3 weeks later they were back in Atlanta winning it. And the 2007, as much as I loved last year, as much as I'm enjoying this year, 2007 was just the most fun I've ever had.
Okay, Franz Beard, read him on Gator Bait, also read his book, and 247 Sports, Graham Hall, doing it for a long time. Good stuff, Graham. Thanks for being on the show. Have a good night, guys. Thank you very much.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Okay. All right, let's wrap it up for us, folks. Before we give you our messages here for our sponsors, I want to be sure and tell you about the special night coming up that you're going to hear about. A Legends Gala, Spurs Grand Grill, first time ever in a public setting outside the Heisman Trophy ceremony in New York City. 3 legends are coming to Gainesville to join Steve Spurrier, Danny Werfel. Let me get this picture down here and here. Danny Werfel. Here it is, legends. And Tim Tebow. You can get a pass, catch a pass from Tebow and Werfel, and get a handoff from Coach Spurrier. There are 2 events on the same day, marked down March 30th, 2026. And I want to just play you a little commercial about the upcoming event. Mark it down. Okay, let's see if we can get this queued up here in time. Looks like they're going to defeat us here. So we'll end up by telling you again, check it out. First time ever in public setting, these guys. Heisman Trophy setting in New York City, and these legends are coming to Gainesville on the 30th. We'll have more on this later. Meanwhile, let me also tell you about our other sponsors. I mentioned our friends at Meldon Law, of course. They've been our sponsor from the jump, and we appreciate all that they do. You can hear on Thursday nights, you can hear Gator's Hoopla, which is a, let me get this off here, the show we do with Jeffrey Meldon. He's very close to the basketball program. He's close to a lot of things. In Florida, he's, of course, Meldon Law, we know, is been doing great things for the program. And let me close it by saying Titan MRI and Imaging also are fine sponsors. Appreciate them. They have 3 locations to serve you, 2 in Gainesville with Park Avenue now, and Millennium Center, 1 in Lake City, serving all Columbia County, and Valdosta, Georgia as well. Titan MRI and Imaging offers the same great customer service they always do. And that means you can schedule an appointment that if you can't go in the daytime, they'll make it for you at night. Titan MRI and Imaging accepts insurance, or you can go through their convenient self-pay program. They offer MRIs, CAT scans, x-rays, ultrasounds. So check them out. They have the larger machines for your patient comfort. No ERs, no hospitals. And they're soon coming to Ocala, hopefully. Better serve Marion County and surrounding area. Titan MRI, it's your choice. Thanks to our guest tonight, Shane Matthews earlier, and Graham Hall, Franz Beard. But don't forget tomorrow night, you're going to have opportunity to hear Loren Meadows and Lowdown with Loren. Lots of news breaking, tracking, and also tomorrow morning, Shane Matthews will be on 8 o'clock your time. So good night. Have a great night.